be telling you guys about the time that I ended up moving to Brooklyn and ended up homeless, and a whole bunch of other stuff that I'm gonna be telling you guys about. So make sure you watch the end to see how this all plays out and how everything ended up for me. Make sure you subscribe to see more content and more story time, because I have a list, honey, a list. So without further ado, let's get straight into this video. I'm just gonna give you a little background story about where I was at the time, just so you guys can have a little idea of why things and how things went the way they went. This was like 3 years ago. I was living in Rhode Island with my boyfriend at the time. I've been living there a year, and this was not too long after I just literally moved back from California from living with my crazy ex, then moving with my birth mom that I just met, that I haven't seen since I was a baby, and getting kicked out from living with her, who also lived in Rhode Island at the time.
What? Child. Anyway, so
my boyfriend at the time, he was from Brooklyn, and I had friends out in Brooklyn, and he had friends out in Brooklyn. So we would drive down to New York to visit, like during the holidays or whatever, or whenever we could have free time. So of course, compared to like Rhode Island, New York City was just like way better. There was so much more going on. Like the vibe was just like, I felt at home. Like New York was for me.
Vagabond shoes are longing to stray. New York, New York.
Especially visiting a place, you feel like it's like 10 times better than it actually is. Like you're not really realizing what living in a certain area actually comes with, because you don't actually live there. So sooner or later the conversation came up, because I absolutely couldn't stand Rhode Island anymore, and I've always loved like the big city vibe, because I'm a girl from a small town. I didn't get to really experience that. Having to go to New York and then coming back to Rhode Island was just torture. The conversation came up that, hey, we should move to New York, and my argument was like, you have friends out there, there's way more opportunity, way more to do. Like there's more opportunity for me there, especially me wanting to pursue YouTube and do stuff with media and stuff, creative stuff like that. And New York's like the perfect place for that. We just be bored in the house in Rhode Island with nothing to do, and really don't make friends that easy, because we don't really have like the connections or even like the opportunities available to go network and make friends. Like Rhode Island, at least the area I was living in, was not it. Wasn't. After a few conversations about it and a few back and forths, and after him kind of realizing that eventually I was probably gonna go with or without him,
like a bad bitch should.
like if I have a dream I want to pursue, nobody and nothing is going to stop me, period. He said, yeah, let's start making a plan to move. Fast forward, now we're at the move. Sorry, I'm trying to get this to the T for y'all, because everything else is just background, so y'all know how I got where I got, at least a little bit, because there's so much more behind this story anyway. It's time for the move. I already saved up. I was working at Family Dollar at the time. Mind you, that job was like not it. That was like the worst job. Like I think I'm gonna do like a video of like the worst jobs experiences I've had. Anyway, so I saved my money, I quit my job, I was so happy. Me and my boyfriend at the time made the plan to stay with his his friend's mom in their apartment for like 2 to 3 months while we, you know, saved up at our new jobs, looked for jobs, and looked for a place to stay. Kind of unrealistic to do in 2 to 3 months. So I get on a little bus and I'm going to New York. I get into New York, I'm living there, I find a job. I end up getting a job a week into my move, and it was like a job I got off of Craigslist. I was a locker room attendant, literally the most pointless job ever, but literally like the easiest, chillest job. Like I would just hide in the bathroom stall, or I would go hide in the supply closet. So yeah, I got a job super quick. I'm like, wow, this must be the right thing to do, because everything is going to plan so far. But little did I know I was about to be tested. Keep watching. Like I said, everything was good. I was going out, meeting new people, having experiences that I didn't really have before. Had a new sense of independence and freedom being in a new city, especially with people that I knew. And I just felt like this was my place to be. Like nothing could stop me. I was unstoppable. I eventually got a job as a bartender, making way more money under the table. The shifts were hell, I'm not gonna lie, but the money I brought in was definitely what I needed at the time. I was able to buy myself a laptop and a camera, and to start my YouTube channel, even though I shouldn't have been buying a camera and a laptop when I needed a place to live. But you know, it's all about my dreams for me. And those same dreams that I had when I left from Massachusetts, California, if you didn't see that story time, go watch it, were the same dreams I had when I was living in Rhode Island. Like they never went away. So any opportunity that I felt I could take, I took, even if it was risky and dumb. But one of the first issues I found myself running into, renting a room with a boyfriend, like literally impossible in New York. Like either they want to charge you double, or they're just not going to take you at all. I also had no credit at this time, and my finances were not at the level to be living in an apartment in New York City. Well, yeah, and my boyfriend's finances were not, and our finances together were not, so yeah, it wasn't happening. Me not knowing that not being from New York, not even knowing how to go look for a room or apartment and stuff like that, ran into that issue. But soon it wasn't an issue. So this is when things start getting a little messy. It's October, September. I've been there for like 3-4 months, and this is when everything starts going wrong. Let's go down the list. First, me and my boyfriend, we overstayed our welcome. We said 2 to 3 months. It's definitely been 2 to 3 extra months over the time we said that we're gonna stay, and it wasn't looking like we were gonna be leaving in any of the weeks coming, especially because my boyfriend at the time was having a hard time finding work. Second, I just quit that bartending job that I got. Like I said, it was bringing in money, but the people that own the place are just awful, and they do not care about anybody. Nobody. Last but not least, me and my boyfriend ended up splitting up. And I'm a really like a big signs type of person, and the fact that we couldn't find a place to live, he was having trouble finding work, like things together for us weren't working together, but separately, like for me, things were going good. So I honestly feel like it was time. So the reason why me and my boyfriend ended up breaking up is because he was texting a girl on his phone and I ended up catching him. But if we're gonna be real here and transparent, honestly, for a while at that time, I knew that the relationship wasn't really what I wanted. He wasn't really what I wanted. I felt like I had dreams and ambitions, and I was gonna do what I had to do to, you know, make my dreams come true, and he was not matching that energy. So when I did find the girl texting his phone, I took that and I ran with it, and of course I was hurt. Yeah, I took that and ran with it and ended the relationship right then and there, because it was easier doing it that way for me than actually doing it for like the real reason, which is so horrible. And I just ask you guys to not be like that, because it really was not about him texting a girl, even though if he was texting a girl, like it would have been a thing for sure. But if I feel, you know, if I was more invested, it probably would have been a little harder than it was for me. So yeah, we didn't last, and I knew that we wasn't gonna last. Shaking my head. But yeah, the breakup was super dramatic. Like, he still was trying to help me, you know, be okay out there while we were broken up, because, you know, he still cared, which I appreciate. Breakup was super dramatic. We ended up fighting each other, like, and I think this was like one of the most scary things, because he was my connection to my living arrangement. Like, he was the reason why I was able to stay at his friend's mom's house.
I'm a little scared, you know what I'm saying? Like,
but thankfully they let me stay. I think because over the time, like, we all got well acquainted with each other. I mean, we were living with each other. We were kind of in each other's faces like day in and day out. I feel like I'm grateful that they weren't people that were just like, well, you guys are together so you can get out. They were kind enough to let me stay and figure things out a little while before, you know, making that transition out of the house. So fast forward again, I'm jobless, looking for work. I wasn't really applying to like real jobs, like a grocery store or anything. I was really trying to avoid like the cashier life. Like, I had the option to be picky. And don't forget, I was in New York City to chase my dreams, and honestly, you cannot chase your dreams if you're spending your whole entire life and day and time at work. I was trying to find a way to make the most money in the least amount of time, doing something that I wouldn't feel like I was, you know, torture doing every day, I guess. But yeah, so still enjoying my time making YouTube videos, hoping something shakes for me. I dye my hair orange, like in the name of the breakup, and you know, life is lit for me. I'm living this new single life in New York City, figuring it out. I'm not really stressed about the troubles, because I'm just like all about the experience. And I really wasn't worried about the struggle, because I was very aware that on the journey that I wanted to take and where I was at in my life, it was going to be a struggle to get where I wanted to be, especially where I was starting from, basically from the ground. So I was trying to make the best of every situation. And just as much as I struggled, I had a lot of good times, and I learned a lot and I was not going back to Massachusetts. So anything was better than going back to Massachusetts for me. The time is coming up where it's time for me to get the boot. Like, my ex-boyfriend's friend's mom was just like ready for everybody to be at her house. Understandable. And honestly, I wanted to be out of there too, because I was kind of tired of being under the same roof, sleeping in the same room as my ex, who I wasn't really on good terms with at the time. I also was ready for a change of scenery. Like, I was sleeping in the living room with like me and my boyfriend and like 2 other people, so it wasn't just the most ideal long-term situation. So it was time to move to the next thing. She let me stay way longer than she had to, so I'm so grateful for that. It's time for me to move. And ironically, during one of my outings when I was staying at this house, like, I would go to parties a lot, because I was just like, I loved being out and about, like in the mix. And one of those days, me and my friend went to like this bar club called, was it called Lot 49, Lot 46? I totally forgot. I have not gone out in a minute. We met this group of friends at Lot 46, and we ended up clicking with them and getting really cool with them. By the time that it was time for me to move, they said, hey, you could stay in this room, you could stay here for like 4 months and just save your money and, you know, get back on your feet, which I'm so great before, because I don't know what I would do without these people. I don't know. I don't think I would be in New York, honestly. So now I'm in New York City, the Big Apple, with no job, no money, like really nothing to call my own except like the suitcase of stuff that I have that I've been lugging around with me, and no place to go back to because my life back home was in shambles. No room even to call my own. Like I shared a room with like 2 to 3 other people. Like it was a room with a bunk bed that had like a bed, then a bunk bed, like a 3-layer bunk bed, and like sometimes friends would stay in there, or sometimes they would do Airbnb so other roommates would come stay in there. So yeah, definitely not complaining though, because some people are not even blessed with like a roof over their heads when they have no place to stay, especially within months of living in a place. God's good. These were like the times that I struggled the most, especially being in between jobs and then getting a really low paying job and not bringing in enough money. Sometimes not even have money to get to my interviews and jobs. Sometimes I would have to wake up and plan to walk to a whole train station that I knew was not going to have police or MTA tellers in there, so I knew I was going to be free to hop and get to work and come and go as I please freely without having to worry about the money situation, because that train fare adds up, for one. For two, sometimes I didn't even have the $2.75 to get on the train. Sometimes I didn't have money to eat a proper dinner. Like I would live off of chopped cheese, bags of Doritos, or Now and Laters, or fries. I still love fries. I still love fries. Like I don't even think that had anything to do with not having money. But I remember Thanksgiving and not really having much to eat. One time it was late at night and me and my friend were getting something to eat, and I was walking and you know I looked down and I found this $100 bill, and this came at like the time that I needed the most, and I just knew God was with me, because like y'all, like you don't understand, like that $100 bill came in so clutch. So by this time I'm still living in this house, you know, with that they let me stay in. If the 4 months are not over yet, I am now walking dogs. I got a dog walking job. Yeah, I got a dog walking job, and it was a good job. You want to go for a walk? Come on. Come on, Doodles. What are you doing here? Henry, please come out. Didn't pay me much money. It didn't really pay me at all, but it was bringing more money in than I was getting before, which was $0. So I was taking that job. The only time I can say it was really bad is when the winter came, and of course, since I wasn't prepared financially for anything, I wasn't even prepared financially to like have the proper gear to be equipped to walk a dog in a snowstorm or a rainstorm. I remember getting trapped in a snowstorm. It was like a snowstorm, but I needed to walk this dog. I had to travel all the way to Manhattan from Brooklyn. It was already a crazy commute. I had to walk so far, like 20 minutes already to the dog. It started snowing. I had Vans on and this thin like puffer from Forever 21, and it literally wasn't holding anything. Like it wasn't keeping nobody warm, especially in a cold snowstorm, and I had to walk that dog for an hour. So fast forward some more. So that's when I went to dancing, and I don't know what kind of, I had like some Cardi B dream in my head, like yes, I'm about to just rack up this money and then bam, can be out, get my own, and start a business, and everything's gonna be great. I was trying to skip levels and it wasn't gonna work like that. I just had like this super big dream in my head. Sometimes my optimism can be beneficial to me, and it could be like a tool that good, like that benefits my life, but sometimes it can be like kind of bad. Like I can really just like not be realistic sometimes. I don't know what I was doing trying to be a dancer. It actually made me enough money, a little more money than dog walking actually, and quicker money than dog walking. So I was able to like, at least there was a little more things I was able to buy. So I tried dancing. That lasted 2 months. I'll tell you guys a story about that time another time, because that's literally a whole nother story time and experience in itself. But after the strippers time, me and my friend had a plan to move into a room together, like sublet a room together for 4 months while whoever originally was on the lease traveled to Germany, and we were able to save and stuff like that. Everything after moving out of the apartment and living with like those friends that I met at that party, like everything started balancing out slowly. So during living in this apartment with my friend, I made a lot of good memories. I went out a lot. I had a lot of fun, did a lot of random things, impulsive things, and I spent a lot of time outside. It was summer and I just enjoyed being outside, meeting new people and having a good time, especially in Soho. Soho was like my favorite area to be in. I held a snake on the train and came across like a random rock band in the middle of the day while I was out and about. And I witnessed somebody try to rob the Apple store. I tried pho for the first time. Tried crap for the first time. And it was actually pretty nasty. My friends came from Massachusetts to visit me, so we can do that. I also got monetized on YouTube, which was so cool. I didn't actually think that was gonna happen, and I didn't really expect it because like I wasn't able to give as much time as I wanted to YouTube because I had to, give time to getting my life together. And yeah, I was, for a time, I actually didn't think I got monetized until I got the email late. So I was really happy about that and really proud of myself that I was able to achieve a goal in the middle of a lot of things I was going through.
Anywho,
I tried selling weed for extra money, definitely failed. My budman was highly upset that I fumbled that bag. I also cleaned Airbnbs for extra money, which was very helpful at the time. I also kind of struggled and had like a little dip in my mental health and got really sad and kind of felt lost in the sauce and stuff like that. But during living in this apartment, I worked at a bar as a bar back, and the bar was cool. It was black owned. I like the vibe. It's like a 30 over bar, but anybody could go, like over 21 of course.
oh, I just can't wait to be king.
The owner was sometimes creepy, like the bartenders just had like bad attitudes, and sometimes they would try to like bother me. All I'm doing is cleaning your cups. It's above me now. But I ended up quitting my bar backing job because first of all, it was awful. But before I ended up quitting, I already had another job lined up at a daycare. So I ended up facing my fear and getting a 9 to 5 and working at a daycare, which took up a lot of my time. But it made getting back on my feet, which was the most important thing at the time, way easier, and it made the process go a lot faster because I finally had secure income. And if they fired me, I'd have unemployment. That's like closer to where I am now. I quit my daycare job like a month before the pandemic happened. Yeah, after all that bouncing around and trial and error, finally got on my feet and got to where I am now. I'm definitely still in New York, living it up. What in a completely like a 360 situation from where I started. Like now I have my own room, like of course, because New York rent is high. I'm still working towards getting that New York apartment if I even want to pay that rent. And now I'm working for myself as a video editor, and I don't think if I ever didn't move to New York, I would even have that opportunity. The most important part of this video are like my takeaways from this experience. I just want to say, like, do I regret my choice? No. Sometimes I'd be like, oh, well, maybe if I would have done this better, da 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 da. But honestly, I wouldn't have gotten to where I am without the experiences that I've had. I wouldn't be who I am, and I wouldn't know things like I know now without the experiences that I lived through, even though they were kind of hard and uncomfortable. What I wish I would have done differently was probably be more prepared and have a better plan. But then again, I say, do I really? Because honestly, I feel like everything played out how it needed to be, and who's to say if I did the correct steps that my outcome would be better. All this talking about me thirsty and my lips dry. So I hope you guys were able to take something away from that story time. Sorry, I switched over to my laptop camera. It's a month later. I'm finishing editing this video, and I wanted to change the ending and say what I had to say better and faster, because literally I was talking for 5 minutes with like my final thoughts, and it was just too much. I was even overwatching it. But yeah, long story short, follow your dreams, listen to your intuition. Sometimes your gut will tell you to do things that don't make sense, but honestly that will lead you to your purpose. And I feel like that's like the voice of God leading you to where you need to be. And honestly, it might sound weird because some of the situations I was in, like, you wouldn't think that those were the places you need to be to get somewhere. But like, honestly, life works so funny, and when I put all the pieces together in my life and everything comes back full circle, and it really validates why I'm here. And so I'm really grateful for my experience, and I shared my story because I don't know, maybe somebody can take something away from it, relate to it, and maybe needed to see it. So here it is. So like I was saying, don't be afraid to listen to your intuition, follow your dreams, and don't ignore your dreams. Like, it's me again. I'm revising, so I just want to drop in and say, don't be scared to say that job. Don't be scared. Like, as you can see, I had so many jobs, and there's jobs everywhere. You can spice up your resume. If you get good enough at interviews, you can get almost any job you want. If your job is getting in the way of you following your dreams, if it's getting in the way of you making a move that you want to make, then, you know, maybe you should leave. And don't be scared to do that. These jobs have no problem replacing you. Don't be feeling like you have to give 2 weeks notice if you don't want to give 2 weeks notice. Half the jobs I left, I just stopped showing up. Or I just left on the day that I decided I wanted to leave. It'd be like that. They'll live. The business is not going down. Like, so don't be scared to stay at that job. I wanted to drop and say that. Sometimes dreams and achieving dreams might not feel rational, and you might feel like it's too late or you don't know how to do something, but you're not ever going to know how to do something if you don't try. I never knew how to really live on my own, let alone move to a whole nother state, like planned or with, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't have experience for the thing that I wanted to do, but I still did it, and I learned and I gained experience, and with that experience I can now avoid those mistakes, and I'm way wiser and way smarter. New York has taught me, my computer keeps going off. New York has taught me a different type of hustle that I don't think I'd have if I didn't move here, and I never would have thought that I'd be self-employed as a freelance video editor. I have bigger dreams, but like, I can see, you know, the growth in my life in many ways. Definitely don't be afraid to put yourself out there. Like, it's like the rough things in life that help us grow the most. I feel like we should take chances in this life because it's our only life, honestly. And okay, this is gonna sound weird. Like, this is how I think. Like, since I was very young, I've been like super afraid with the concept of death. It's not even a concept, with death. Like, young, just crying about the fact that it was gonna happen inevitably. With that fear, I realized, like, wow, what do I want to do while I'm here? And that basically sparked, you know, me promising myself that I was gonna work and try my best to make my dreams come true. Whatever I want to do at that time, I'm going to work to do it. At one point in my life, it was hair, and I wanted to be a hairstylist. So I went to trade school, got my cosmetology license, worked in a hair salon, and then, you know, when that was no longer a thing, along with situations in my life kind of moving and shifting me, quit that and moved to the next thing, hoping for the best. And I would not have pictured myself here. And yeah, so don't be afraid to take chances. I feel like I'm rambling. I don't feel like this is any more shorter than the last clip, but yeah, I hope I said everything I want to say. Maybe I'll do like a Q&A or like a moving advice video, or maybe just things I've learned in my 20s. I'm 25 now, so I can definitely do a reflection video and stuff like that. But I hope you guys enjoyed my story. Like, share, and subscribe for more, because I'm going to be telling you guys next why I even ended up in Rhode Island. And when I mentioned in the beginning my birth mom, how that probably sounded a little weird, I'll be explaining that situation and how I couldn't go back home to Mass. Like, yeah, I'll be connecting the dots, so stay tuned. The stories might be told out of order. It's just however it's set on my heart, and whatever's set on my heart to tell first, I will be telling. So yeah, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.